If you were lucky enough like me to grow up in a household where Monty Python was always playing, you know the phrase, always look on the bright side of life. And while the college football playoff rankings absolutely are going to piss off some people, if I'm Oregon and I'm Washington, I'm pretty content at where I'm sitting. Brand new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. I talk NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, but I love talking college football. If this is the type of content you enjoy, this is the channel made for you. So hit the subscribe button down below, give a thumbs up on the video, leave a comment, and tell me your thoughts on Washington and Oregon's play all the way through October. Tell your friends, your family, your sister, your brothers, those at the grocery store, your pastor, your mortal enemies, those you hate, those you love, the passed out guy drunk in a parking lot at Publix on Saturday about this channel. Because if we get to 1,000 subscribers in the next 15 days, November 15th, I'll shave this bad boy Lex Luthor style live on air. We do 3 live shows a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. If you like that type of content, hit the subscribe button and let's continue to talk college football. Oregon and Washington last night came in real fast, Willy Wonka style, strike that, reverse it. Washington and Oregon came in last night at 5 and 6 respectively in the college football playoff rankings. And there's a lot of people right now who are upset about Washington's standings. Now, most of my subscribers that I've gained in the last couple of weeks are either Oregon or Washington fans. So thank you for subscribing. But the point is, I wouldn't be that upset. And the main reason why is because of even though Washington has been playing colder than the likes of Jack Frost in Antarctica, and even though Oregon right now is the hottest team in the Pac-12, they're so hot that even the sun would say, damn, that's hot. You can argue that because of the way their scheduling works and because of the way the rest of the college football playoff pans out, they're not going to be left out of the CFP if one thing happens. We can all agree that right now, the Big Ten and the SEC will be represented. We know. We all can agree that that's going to happen because Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, however the hell you want to phrase it, they're not being left out of the CFP. Ole Miss, Alabama, and Georgia all have a compelling case. Primarily, I think it's really Alabama and Georgia, but you get the idea. One of them wins in Atlanta, they're probably punching their ticket to the CFP. But if Washington remains undefeated and Oregon goes 11-1 the rest of the way, or both teams go to Vegas 11-1, looking at their schedule, you're not keeping one of these two teams out. Plain and simple, Washington has one of the best wins in college football this year. So does Oregon. Oregon marched on the road to Rice-Eccles Stadium, a place where Kyle Whittingham owns, bullies, berates, and belittles teams, and they kicked the living dog crap out of them. Plain and simple. 35-6 win. They were fantastically great inside of the red zone. Bo Nix had a field day with 3 touchdowns. Bucky Irving showed why he is probably the best running back in the Pac-12, maybe one of the best running backs in college football. You have Troy Franklin, who's one of the most underrated and underappreciated receivers, and the defense. I mean, I get it. Bryson Barnes is a pig farmer, but the only thing he was saying was, "Sue out of here," because he needed to get gone. That's how bad Oregon beat the living dog crap out of this team. So they're playing high. But both of them also have a great schedule. And Washington, I might also add in, played really well and got a win over Oregon. Oregon is probably, in my opinion, the best team in the Pac-12, and Washington won, hands up. And it's because they have the Heisman frontrunner still, in my opinion, in Michael Penix Jr. They have a cast of wide receivers that eventually will find a home on Sundays and be highly effective at the next level. They still have one of the best play callers in college football in Ryan Grubb, and they have a great coach in Kalen DeBoer. And defensively, they were able to make several key stops on 4th down. And if that's the version you get the rest of the way, they're going to be able to hold themselves to a standard to where undefeated expectations are truly at their disposal. So the reason why I think that both of these teams have a clear-cut shot of being automatically in the CFP is they have the exact same schedule. Look at who Oregon still has to play, and look at who Washington still has to play. Washington has a game this weekend against USC. Oregon has a game against USC in 2 weeks. Washington still has a game against Oregon State. Oregon State has a game against Oregon later in the year. Washington has a game against Utah We already know what happened when you played Utah. And the difference is you don't have to go to Rice Eccles. You get to play them at home. Washington has a game against Washington State. Oregon's already played Washington State. So the scheduling is almost the exact same. So you can't say strength of schedule is promising for one, oh, but this team was the Pac-12 champion and they didn't play this team. You can't make that argument because both teams would play Washington State. Both teams would play Oregon State. Both teams would play Utah. Both teams would play USC. And both teams would play each other twice. So there's your argument right there, is that either way, the strength of schedule is out of conversation. Then it goes to head-to-head matchups. If Washington wins again against Oregon, not only would you beat Oregon at number 7, but you'd also probably beat Oregon at number 6 or number 5 in the country, depending on what happens with the rest of the CFP rankings. So that's 2 top 10 wins over the exact same team. Washington also is getting the benefit of the doubt because they're going to play USC ranked. They're also going to play Utah ranked. And more than likely, they're going to play Oregon State ranked. So all those games could end up benefiting them when it comes to the ranked opponent schedule. But then you can't say the same thing about Oregon, because even if one of those teams isn't ranked, you could justifiably say, well, look at what they did at the end of the year. Look at how this team finished the year out. Okay, well, guess what? We ended up pulverizing you, and we're in a good spot. Not to mention, it's really going to benefit a team like Oregon right now to beat the living dog crap out of Cal, because Cal held their own and nearly got the upset win over USC this past weekend. So you already see that the strength of schedule plus the consistency of play will matter. But on top of all that, again, Oregon gets a win in the rematch over Washington. Well, now they get a top 10 win, and they also get the conference title. So you're not leaving them out of the conversation. And you know what? Well, you shouldn't. Washington may not be the best team in college football by some standards, but to me, they are the best offense. When everything is clicking and they're inside the red zone and they find a way to get Dillon Johnson involved, nobody is stopping this team. And it's so hard to do so because of how many receivers you have that play a various role. Every single one of them has a certain job that works in favor of Michael Penix Jr.'s strengths. And there's that continuity and that consistency of what you have with the chemistry of the team led by your quarterback who's been here before. He's been in big-time games and he's delivered in big-time games all the way from last year to this year. And then Oregon might be the Frankenstein monster of all of college football, because think about it for a second. They have wide receivers and playmakers that would reside in the Pac-12. They have an offensive and defensive line that you would find in the SEC. They have linebackers and running backs you would find in the Big Ten. And they have a coach with an SEC background that's already implemented the same style in the Pac-12. They're a Frankenstein machine of just, I have no idea what the hell to say. Like, honestly, it's like you concocted them in a laboratory and then just said, here, go out and play football. And that's it. That's what you got in Oregon. And they're damn good. And they're good at what they do. They're one of the best teams in yards after contact. I think they're number 1 in the country in yards per play offensively. They don't allow many people to run against them. They're only allowing opponents to average 3.2 yards per play. They have a stout defensive front, and they have a great coach who's leading the charge. And by the way, Bo Nix absolutely still is in the running for the Heisman Trophy. What, you think because if he lost to Washington, you're going to penalize him? You didn't penalize Caleb Williams when he lost to Utah. You didn't penalize Caleb Williams when he didn't win the Pac-12 title game. So you're going to penalize Bo Nix for the same reasons? Get out of here with that logic. Come on. Bo Nix has an opportunity to be not only the greatest comeback story we've seen since probably Joe Burrow, but also he has a shot at making college football history with the highest completion percentage of all time. He's averaging over 78% of his throws. He gets that. How are you not giving him at least a nod to New York City? And he's been in every single game. He's the most polished veteran quarterback in college football. And that's not me saying that as a fan. That's me saying it as a, holy shit, look at how many games the guy's played. Literally, he has the record. You can't count out Oregon. And you can't count out Washington. And I get it. Oklahoma versus Texas. It's great for the sport. It's a good pizzazz. It'd be wonders for the SEC to have the new representative involved. Just like it'd be wonders for the Big Ten to have a representative involved. And there is a slight shot, honestly, if you think about it, where if Washington does its job to a methodic way, and they just bully everybody, USC, Washington State, Oregon State, and they're undefeated, and they lose by a field goal, are you really going to penalize them? Because we didn't penalize TCU last year. You may have an argument that both Oregon and Washington deserve to be in the college football playoff. But the bottom line here is that if you are a Washington or Oregon fan this morning, there's no reason to be upset that you're number 5 and number 6, that Florida State's ahead of you. Guess what? They could drop a game. That Georgia's ahead of you. Guess what? They could drop a game. That Michigan and Ohio State's ahead of you. One of them is going to drop a game, if not more. There still is an avenue for you to make it to the CFP. And honestly, your testament with how well the Pac-12 has played in its final year, not to mention the way that you two are playing right now and could be playing the rest of the way, probably justifies not only you having one of the top spots in the Final Four, but maybe, just maybe, even the top spot in the Final Four. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.